and gentlemen, and welcome to Geeks Who Like Sports. It's episode 116. As always, I am Ray Carsillo in beautiful Los Angeles, California. Joined by my best friend in the entire world over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Lee Elias. Lee, how are you doing on this Saturday morning?
I'm doing great, Ray. It's good to be here. Really interesting topics this week. We got, less than normal topics, but really juicy topics to dive into.
Yes.
I like this. Thank goodness for the Olympics coming on, right? Because usually this time of year, there's nothing to talk about in sports, but for some reason in mid-July, we have a heavy sports show today. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yes.
And the geek topics are pretty good too. There's just not a lot of them. So I want to thank everybody who's watching us on your Twitch channel. If you're watching us on the record or the podcast or video, thanks for being here. Tell your friends.
Yes, no, for sure. Please share, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. But yeah, like Lee said, we got a lot to talk about today. We got NFL. We got the NFL talk. We got a lot of stuff talking about the Oakland A's. We've got the Cleveland Guardians, baseball trade.
Who's that,
NHL
Ray?
expansion
Is that a
draft.
New team?
Yeah, we'll get into that. The NHL regular draft, lots of trades. The NBA finals, we've got a lot of stuff to deal with video games. And DC, we've Michael B. Jordan's working on a new Superman project. We'll get into that. But we're going to kick things off with, speaking of video games and sports games, actually in particular, EA Play. EA Play was this week. EA had their press conference, the final, I guess, of the the traditional E3 press conferences was finally had. And much like Sony a couple of weeks ago, this was a very disappointing showing. Not much on the EA front in general. The big news is something that was leaked weeks ago. Dead Space is getting a remake. Some folks are happy about that. Some other folks like myself just wish they would just go ahead and make a new game already. But this is kind of what they do, is as much like with Mass Effect, they do a remake to kind of gauge what's the interest in the audience. And it's also a chance to get people up to speed with the franchise. But overall, I was not impressed with what EA was delivering whatsoever. And I mean, we kind of said it. We said it weeks ago. Now we can officially ring the bell. Microsoft won. Microsoft had by far the best showing of this summer so far. Lee, what are your thoughts on EA Play barely showing up to play?
Ray, you said you weren't impressed with EA Play. When is the last time you were impressed with EA, period?
You know, I can't remember. That's actually a really great point.
That's what I'm trying to say, right? So again, I'm not saying this at you at all, but it's like, why are we being constantly surprised that these shows are letting us down when these companies have not raised this up for years? I don't remember the last time I thought of EA or EA Sports or anything EA with like, wow, EA, whatever. They got it down. They don't have it anymore. All right. So,
right.
You know, this is a classic example from a business standpoint of a company that is not playing an infinite game. They are sticking to their laurels. They're sticking to what made them great and not willing to change. And again, it just shows you that the gaming industry was this is a whole outside Microsoft. I think this is a fair statement. This is a kind of a broad statement, but I think outside Microsoft, Ray, I think the gaming industry was exposed heavily during the pandemic. They were not prepared at all. And I'm not talking about the pandemic. I'm talking about they were not prepared for this level of growth. And I got to be honest with you, I'm shocked. I'm kind of disappointed. Right, that an industry that makes all of their money on people staying at home playing entertainment was not ready for a time period of people being at home playing entertainment. Again, I give the gaming industry as a whole probably a D+ for how they handled the pandemic. Right, you had a new console generation completely crash hard. Still don't have that together, by the way. All right, and again,
the pipelines are still not intact.
Yeah, I don't blame them for like the chip shortage or any kind of material shortage. Like that's not something that was in their control. But the scalpers, the people buying it and selling it, that was completely within their control. The horrible games that have been coming out, the quick releases, it just shows you from a business standpoint how unprepared the gaming industry was for something like this, which is upsetting considering it should have been their time to shine, right? And then it also shows you that they really need to rethink how they're doing everything moving forward, because I think they lost out on billions of dollars here. All right, not just making it about money, but they lost out on billions of dollars, and they're lucky that there's so much brand loyalty between all of these companies that they didn't drop them off the face of the earth like movie theaters or
Right.
other things like that.
Well, I mean, and there were some games during the pandemic that got us through, but it's been a very dry period. I talked about this just last night on stream, that we've had a really big gap between major titles. Part of that is because of the delays caused by COVID, but it is surprising to see, how slow some of the companies have been to adapt. And I think that, and some companies I think are going to start looking at this going forward. Is that letting people work from home or more regularly work from home to prevent further delays if something like this should arise again? And actually, you've seen this. The companies that already telecommute were the ones who handled this the best.
Right.
And so
prepared.
It's going to be,
All right.
So it's going to be really interesting.
Right. Just to prove the point, you're the gaming expert here. I'm going to give you a gift here for your audience. Okay. I got two hands here. This is premier top level titles that you played and enjoyed. They were top of the level games. These were, they're just okay. All right. So what, in any year, these hands should be full. In any year, these hands should both be full. Right. Go ahead. Top. I mean, Ray, you love these games. They were excellent. They're on your list that everyone has to play these games. Number one, it was your game of the year.
Well, yeah, Ghost of Tsushima.
All right, so that's one.
For sure. Resident Evil 8.
Sure, I agree with that.
And you know what? I'll say this, despite its terrible launch because of server issues, I really loved Outriders.
Okay.
I still really, really loved it. But for me, that's really about it.
So I'm saying we're struggling to get to 3. Okay, in terms of titles that were released that were okay, I think Avengers would be there. I wasn't horrible. Matt in our chat says Squadrons was a pretty good game.
Squadrons had a lot of bug issues, especially during the campaign. Right. That's what keeps it for me. That keeps it in the okay tier.
Right. I'm sorry, it was Casey that said Squadrons, not Matt. But
yes, Casey,
they both did. Fallen Order was pre-pandemic, in my opinion. All right, so I'm saying we can't even get to 10 games over the last 15 months, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Not one bit. All right, so it just shows you how poorly prepared they were for this. And again, there are some excuses that make sense. There are some excuses that don't. All right, the gaming industry needs to take a look at itself, specifically EA too, and figure themselves out, because in a time we needed them, much like the music industry, they weren't there for us to their maximum ability. I'll say that.
Yeah. And, that's going to be a theme for the geek section here, at least through the game section of the geek section, because there's a lot of changes going on in games right now. There's stuff that we've talked about before and we're going to bring up again. Something I think is very interesting, that going into our next story from Konami, surprisingly somehow still making games, but the big game that Konami is making still is Pro Evo Soccer. For those of you who don't know, Pro Evolution Soccer has been FIFA's biggest competitor since the late 90s. It's been a consistent seller, especially internationally. In Japan, it's called Winning 11. It's got different names. They changed it a couple years ago to eFootball. As in football, not American football, eFootball.
Not handy.
And now they announced that this year's version of the game will be the final version they're releasing, and that it will be free to play going forward, and it will have updates. It will be consistently updated. You will buy one more version of the game, and then it will just be updated throughout this console generation. This is something that we have talked about here on the show. Lee actually had predicted this. I'm surprised that it's Konami with soccer as the first to get on this trend. But again, this also shows, again, going to our previous talk about EA, kind of being behind the ball here a little bit. So good on Konami. I think this is a brilliant idea. I think this is the way things are going to go.
Right. I should only have to buy one version of the game. I'd say every few years, right? When there's a new console or new technology that comes along that can improve the game, I can understand resubscribing or getting a new version of it. But this is the future of sports games. We don't want to pay for roster updates and mediocre upgrades, right? And I think I love that Konami's doing it. Again, look, talk about finite game versus infinite game. The infinite game is you want them to be playing the game forever, right? The finite game is we have to win, right? Konami's putting it out there to look. We want your loyalty. Come play our games, and I guarantee you, they're not gonna take the market share from FIFA in 1 year or 2 years. No. But I bet you this is the move that's going to start the domino falling on some of these other franchises, specifically with EA, to start going, look, just buy Madden, no number, buy NHL, buy FIFA. FIFA, thank you. Buy, and same thing with
And 2K, you buy NBA
buy
2K,
them,
WWE 2K.
right?
Yeah.
It's a 5-year subscription, and we'll update everything every year. All right. And it's an obvious way of doing it. I don't know how they're doing it for free, but that's my point is it's a subscription. It's not $60 a year. It's $10 a year for 5 years. That's right. And that's the future. Oh, we're losing our market share. Do you want the brand loyalty or not? Do you want people to buy it or not? Because there's no way they're not losing money every year on those games right now. All right. Or that there's a downslope outside FIFA. I know FIFA makes a ton. All right.
Yeah. Sure well, I mean, that's the thing is FIFA makes a ton. NHL is limping along.
Which used to be the toast of EA, by the way. Used to win Game of the Year every year in sports category. It hasn't done that in a decade or more.
Yeah, it's been a real. I mean, as they cut corners, and as you mentioned, FIFA. The studio makes FIFA is the same studio that makes NHL, and obviously, you're going to put more of your resources into your big money makers.
Right,
so,
makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate for the NHL brand, but it is going to be interesting to see how EA responds. It's going to be interesting to see how this goes. EA may wait a couple of years and see how this plays out because again, a PES or now eFootball is not what it once was in the gaming community, right? It's still good, but FIFA does usually eat its lunch every year in terms of what it offers.
Here's the thing. Konami, I don't think is trying to compete with FIFA on the market share side. They're just going, look, if we get our 5% of that audience, it's a lot of money. They're not trying to take over. So, yeah, look, EA will drain the swamp of money until the fans or people demand of, like, I don't want to do this anymore, or sales go so low that they have to. But, look, this is the trend. Game Pass, everything like that, subscription-based service, Netflix is bringing their own games to the forefront. You're seeing this all over the place. It's just a matter of time before it changes. The gaming companies that do not have a plan for this will suffer or go under.
Yeah, no, it's very true. It's going to be interesting to see what happens for sure going forward with all of this. And I think, good on Konami for being at the forefront for once, which is super unusual for them.
Well, since the 80s, at least.
I mean, it's been a long, long time. Got some more folks popping into chat. What's up, Matt? Another Matt Guff. And then we've also got, of course, our friend Matt Cavalieri over in England who says he wants to bring back Goman, Mystical Ninja. I'm not familiar with that one, Matt. So you'll have to explain it to me off the air. I'm not, or I'll have to look it up. That one is not in my wheelhouse. So, but yeah, moving on now to, we mentioned draining the swamp. Let's talk about draining the swamp here. Activision Blizzard. This is a big deal. This is a sad story. But also not surprising of the dude bro culture that permeates the studios that bring you Call of Duty every year. Basically, the state of California has levied a lawsuit against Activision Blizzard for its workplace culture and evidence of consistent harassment towards female employees, having them do things called like a cubicle crawl, very frat boyish kind of culture. There's even reports of one woman who was driven to suicide because of her boss wanting to go on to on a business trip and doing certain things with her. It's really terrible. If you look it up, folks, it's Bloomberg broke it, and then it's all over the place now in the games industry. If you look at it, the document breaking it all down, it's just disgusting. I'm not going to get into all the details here, but considering this is a company run by Bobby Kotick, for those of you who don't know, Bobby is also known for playing the evil Oakland Athletics owner in Moneyball. The dude is just, quite simply put, one of the worst people in video games. He is a scumbag. And again, it starts at the top, and that the fact this culture just seems to permeate his company. I feel bad that it's permeated Blizzard now, because I can tell you it's more likely probably on the Activision side, but it is. Look, the like Matt says, the old-fashioned boys club behavior. It's been in video games for a very long time. But we've been working very, very hard to get it out of games for the last, I'd say, 10 years, and it's a process. But it's still disheartening and heartbreaking and disgusting when you see that it's still going on, especially in the biggest third-party publisher company in the form of Activision. Maybe they might be behind EA now, but they're one of the top two, right? Like you have your first parties and your third parties. Activision, EA, Ubisoft, those are your third parties. And this also goes back to what Ubisoft got caught for last year. The same thing in their company, and it's a fact. We're shining a light in the shadows, and it's sickening that it's taken this long. And you're already starting to see several gaming outlets refusing to work with Activision anymore, refusing to review or cover their games. And this is going to be, they're going to be held, I hope they're going to be held accountable finally. I mean, the only other thing that could happen next is if fans stop buying their games, but I don't know if that's going to happen. But it's a culture that needs to be eradicated from games as soon as possible. And this was heartbreaking and sickening to see this week, this lawsuit. And good in the state of California for putting their feet to the fire and bringing this against them. So, yeah.
Yeah, look, it's something that's happened. It's not just happening in games, right? Gaming is, you said, it's got the spotlight on it right now, but it's happening really at least all over our country in North America, hopefully the world as well. But sometimes the way forward is painful and it's disappointing, and you uncover things that you didn't want to know about. However, that's part of the process to make things better for the future. I'm really looking forward to a future where women and men are in the workplace and gaming, and it's not even a discussion. It's just normal, right? I'm looking forward to that future. But as you said, I think also, Ray, I think a really cool thing is in World of Warcraft, I believe a lot of the users actually had to sit in the game or something in solidarity to what's happening. So you said people stop buying stuff, and it sounds like people are taking notice of this, and it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop in a good way. So yeah, look, again, painful, but I'm glad it's happening.
I mean, it's better than the alternative of it continuing to happen for sure. So, so that needed to be brought up. And of course, again, this is permeated games. Again, Matt Cavalieri said it is something that has permeated games for a very, very long time. Right. It is akin to us trying to shake the stereotype of us being Mountain Dew swilling in our mom's basement, never seen the light of day people. And it kind of goes hand in hand, because in the early days, there's a reason why there's a stereotype in the early days. That was a lot of the game industry. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sit here and deny that. And unfortunately, it has been something that has been slowly but surely expunged from the industry, and it's going to take time. It's going to take time. But you got to keep at it. Like Lisa, you got to keep at it. So, story that came up here in chat, Matt Guff wanted to know if we saw Netflix lost a bunch of subscribers this week. Well, I had not seen that.
They reported that they lost 500,000 subscribers this year. And a lot of people are saying, like, what does that mean? And here's the deal. Look, it was a pandemic. So I think people were picking and choosing what services they wanted. So some of it was a money thing. And there's a lot more services out there now. So it's starting to chew into Netflix's market share. It's to be expected. Netflix was the first real streaming service. We all kind of had it. And I think people are just picking and choosing now. So it shouldn't take away from how many subscribers they still have, and that they're still trying to innovate. Again, like their gaming platform, Ray, that they're building is going to be free. I should say it's part of the subscription.
That's a big deal.
It's not
part
free.
of the subscription.
Part of the subscription. Look, it's one of those things. It doesn't say anything about Netflix. It just says that the streaming wars are here. Yes. And that when they fight, we will win. Like, look, if you think about it right now, Ray, with streaming, my top streaming service right now is easily Disney Plus.
Right.
After Disney Plus, I'd say it's probably Netflix with Amazon Prime and HBO Max quickly moving up. HBO Max has really done a good job over the last few months to kind of bolster their content, and where they relied on kind of the DC stuff to get going. I find that they're putting some pretty good stuff on there now that I want to watch.
But I'm actually looking forward to the new Suicide Squad.
Yeah, me too.
That's coming to HBO.
Yeah, look, HBO Max, they did a good job. Like I said, like Mortal Kombat wasn't horrible, and you know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm getting my money's worth out of it, right? But when you think about it,
for being part of a subscription service, I'm glad I didn't buy a movie theater ticket for Mortal Kombat, because then I would have been mad. But
and then
as
Amazon
part of
Prime
subscription services,
I have Amazon Prime anyway, so that works. Disney Plus and Netflix are still my kind of 1-2 punch. That's let them compete. It's good when they compete. You don't this is what I'll say, Matt. You don't want them to go down, right? You don't want them to hurt, because if they're not able to compete, then it's, you don't want anybody having a monopoly over that space. That's my.
And I'm sure a lot of them will come back as soon as there's a show they want to see or a comedy special or something. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of those people, like you said, Lee, they're budgeting their money and they kind of were like, oh, you know what's coming out soon? Ted Lasso season 2. You know, so I'm going to cancel my Netflix and I'm going to sign back up for Apple TV and I'll watch that for a few months. And then I wouldn't be surprised if there are people out there who go back and forth based on what shows are coming
I can tell you right now, I did that with CBS. When I wanted to watch Picard, I subscribed while it was on. I unsubscribed when it wasn't. Apple TV Plus, I have that too, but there's only 2 shows that I watch on it. So and Hulu, like I forgot Hulu. So like, again, everyone's got a little bit of a different mix. It all comes down to how you consume your television. But, you know, it's a good thing when these things all compete. And I think they're even going to consolidate more over the next few years. I don't think we'll have as many as we do. But, yeah.
Yeah, no, you'll see it as Apocalypse always like to say, only the strong survive. So we will see that. I needed to work at least one Marvel reference in today because there's no Marvel news, but we do have some DC news. No major Marvel news, I should say. Marvel's constantly.
There's a lot of theories and a lot of things going on that
right, but nothing really worth talking about.
Yeah, I agree.
In my opinion,
I agree.
Yeah. So there's 2 big stories that come out of DC though. The first one, speaking of projects for HBO Max, Michael B. Jordan is supposedly working on a Superman project. Now, there's been a lot of talks about him being Black Superman for a while. Obviously, there are several versions of Superman where he is black in the comics. So would this be an Elseworld? Would this be President Superman? What would this be? I don't know. But it's an interesting thing that they're exploring it. I think it's good. Obviously, Lois and Clark, Superman and Lois on CW.
Go back to the 90s there, Ray. Wow.
Yeah, I had that was a flashback there.
Gene Kane's like, are they talking about me?
Yeah. Not in the good way, Dean. But yeah, no, it was, that's doing very, very well. I think more Superman. Working with Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman, those are your major characters, DC. It's not a bad thing to harp on them repeatedly in different forms. We know we're getting a new Batman cartoon alongside the Batman. Obviously, we've got Titans now on HBO Max. Keep focus on your big heroes. I think this is a great thing. I don't care if you're doing President Superman or an alternate verse Superman, or if they're making him a main story Superman. I'm just thinking it's good to have another Superman, and people have wanted to see Michael B. Jordan as Superman for a while, and let's see what he does.
So I have a few thoughts on this, right? One is that, I'm all for it, just right off the bat. Just the classic DC looking at Marvel going, hey, what are they doing over there? Look, the world we needed a Black Captain America. We needed it, and we've got it, and they did it well, and everyone's awesome with it. Everyone's cool with it. The multiverse, I can tell you right now that DC's looking at how Marvel's creating their multiverse, and they're just like, shoot. Ours isn't that good. But what they're realizing is the multiverse lets you do whatever you want, because similarly to the death of Superman killing death in comics, because that comic book is really what allowed you to kill off any superhero and bring them back. The multiverse is used to make whoever you want. It's the exact opposite, right? So what they're going to do, I think, is that when DC unveils their multiverse in Flashpoint, there's going to be some explanation of there's so many infinite possibilities in DC. And here's Black Superman. And let's be honest with it. I'm okay with this too, because the world needs a Black Superman just as much as they need a Black Captain America. I think that's something that needs to be seen. It needs to be normalized. It needs to be okay.
Yes.
And like you said, Ray, in the multiverse of DC, there are plenty of Black Supermen, right? So whatever they do, it's going to be good. I think that DC's figuring out, just like Marvel is, that these streaming services are also an opportunity to try things where you don't have to maybe put the big box office money into something to make something great. And by big box office money, I mean like $1 billion to make a movie, right? They're still going to cost hundreds of millions, but we're talking movie money now, right? I also think that, it's just very interesting, the decisions that DC is making. But I'm not going to introduce this for you, Ray, but I'll say that the next thing we're going to talk about DC just continues to confirm what's the wording here, Ray? This one boggled my mind. I didn't want to bring this topic on the show today because it was so upsetting, but I'm like, we have to. This is like exactly the type of thing we have to talk about. But I think you've been saying it for months that DC does not care about their fans. They really don't know what they're doing when we're talking about motion pictures, not comic books or anything like that. And this is one of those things that I'm going to, sorry to say, was shocking but not surprising.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Ray, go ahead. I'll let you introduce this. For those of you listening, this is going to blow your mind. Blow your mind in a bad way.
this was something that, like Lee said, I didn't have originally on the rundown because it made me so upset. I didn't want to talk about it because it dredges up memories from my brief time working for Warner Brothers in DC.
Disgusting.
The year and a half I was there. And it was something that I've talked about before on the show. Some of you are probably sick of hearing me talk about it, but there's a lot of folks at DC who don't know the product, who don't care about the product.
Right. It's a job.
They only care about the bottom line. They don't care about the fans. They care about merchandising. They care about being big on social media. They care about looking good instead of being good. And God, this story makes me sick. Supposedly,
get it out, Ray. Just get it out. Get it out.
There was some executives at DC who didn't want in the Snyder movies did not want to destroy Superman's pod that he escaped Krypton on to come to Earth, because then they're like, well, how is he going to go back to Krypton?
I want that to set in before we move into this discussion. The executives at DC told the filmmakers, you cannot destroy Superman's pod because how will he get back to Krypton? That is what they said to the people making the movie. People in the chat and people listening, can you please type and comment why that might be a problem? All right. Again, they said, we don't want you to destroy the pod because how will Superman get back to Krypton? What's wrong with that statement?
Yeah.
Hey, why we wait? I forgot to do this at the top of the episode. Would you please give me an adjective, sir?
An adjective?
An adjective, which is defined as describe something or somebody.
Stupid.
That's beautiful. For those of you listening live or to the podcast, make sure you stay tuned to the end. I'm starting something new this week. Ray has agreed to it without knowing what it is. But throughout the episode, I'm going to be asking him for different things like that. And we're going to have a surprise at the end of the episode. So, Ray, we just got done. The executives didn't want the pod destroyed so Superman could go back to Krypton. What's the problem with that, Ray?
The reason why he left Krypton is because the planet was destroyed. The planet was blown up. He's the last son of Krypton.
Last son.
There's no more Krypton to go back to. That has been his origin story for 80 years.
Don't do this. Don't do it to yourself. I'm protecting you, Ray. I'm protecting you and your voice. Not to mention, the other funny part about this, Ray, was that these executives had just seen the first 30 minutes of the film in which Krypton was destroyed, and then asked about why he can't go back there. And we wondered why. And here's the funny thing about it, Ray. The funny thing about it is that I thought Man of Steel. I just
threw my glasses and hit my camera.
It's sorry. It's okay. That's part of the rant. All right, Ray. Again, what's funny about it is Man of Steel. Actually, in my opinion, I really liked that movie. I thought it turned out to be a good movie, but it just proves our point of why Batman had guns and it just didn't want to listen to Clark. Again, sometimes you have these beloved properties. Look, I'll tell you who's championing this right now. It's not Marvel. Marvel's just doing a great job, period. Star Wars is figuring this out. Dave Filoni and Jonathan Favreau, okay, figured this out. Jonathan Favreau, did I say his name right?
It's John.
Yeah, what am I doing? John Favreau. Okay, they put two mega fans who really understand that universe in charge, and look what's happening. Okay, Marvel just has really great leadership, and that's the key we're talking about here, leadership. Okay.
Well, they have, and actually, it was funny. Something also came out this week where people said one of the biggest strengths of Marvel is that they have had consistent leadership for 15 years.
It's almost like if we had that in other aspects of society, we would do better. Listen, I want to say this, Ray. I'm not trying to turn this way, but this is a statement. Okay. We have a massive lack of leadership in this country right now, really around the world. There is a lack of leadership right now. Good leaders are very important, and we're underestimating the need for them in the world right now.
And so is DC for the past 10, 11 years.
Right.
Ever since, and look, I love Jim Lee. As an artist and as a creator, Jim Lee is terrific. But he is a figurehead, basically, in terms of a leader at DC. Same as Jeff Johns was. Certain guys should not be put in charge of certain things. You need to, like you said, you need to have leaders, people willing to make the tough calls. And Marvel has historically had those. Not always, but historically had those leaders. From Stan Lee to Jim Shooter to Mark Grunwald. You've consistently had those leaders. And DC used to have them too. Don't get me wrong. For a long time, DC had them. But DC hasn't had them for now almost over a decade. And it shows. And they're constantly churning the waters, looking for somebody else to step up. And then when somebody steps out of line, AT&T or Warner Brothers or Time Warner, whoever owns them this week, gets rid of them. Right. And yes, Kevin Tidy Screens. We're talking about Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige is the leader over at Marvel.
He's awesome
right now, especially on the cinema side.
Look,
who's been helping to guide that ship.
DC treats their leaders like football coaches in the UK. They just get sacked left and right. With that said, Ray, I need a plural noun and a noun. A noun is defined as a name of a person, place, or thing.
Batman. We're on DC. I don't know.
Pac-Man. You want that to be the noun? Okay, I need a plural noun.
Batman. Sorry,
yes, I like that, and I need a plural one too.
A plural?
Yeah, so just a plural like
robots.
Oh, that's great. All right, we're gonna have fun with this. I'll give it a break before the next one. Okay, Ray, okay. I think we've stewed over this enough. DC, continually get your crap together. The world's on notice. You don't know what you're doing. I really hope you figure it out in Flashpoint. I really hope Michael Keaton comes in and saves you. And moreover, I hope Dwayne Johnson knows what he's doing, because this leadership makes me question everything. And I really hope that Black Adam is the turning tide that you guys need, because he does not do crap. Dwayne Johnson's going to save DC, and then he's going to save America by being president in his TV show. And then we'll see if he becomes the real president. By the way, Dwayne Johnson, excellent opening to the Olympics montage. That was really well done. I really think DJ is a spokesperson for America right now, and I think that's awesome. Go Team USA.
Yeah, agreed. Real quick in chat, Tidy Screens wants to know if we like Black Widow. If you want our full breakdown, Tidy, go back to the previous episodes. I thought it was okay at best. The problem is it's a prequel, and you know how it has to end, or at least a certain point where you have to end. I think the movie came out about 6 years too late. I think that really hurt it. I think this movie would have been a lot more powerful 6 years ago. Yeah. Before we know how Black Widow's fate would have ended. So I thought it was fine. It was it is not the best of Marvel by far. It is not amongst my favorite Marvel movies. It's probably we'll say bottom tier.
Yeah, we're not panning it for sure. We're not panning it. It just wasn't up to snuff with what we have today, unfortunately. It has nothing to do with it being Black Widow. It was made too late.
Yeah, and Tidy Screens, I know a lot of folks didn't like how they did Taskmaster. I thought it was fine for the story they were trying to tell. I get that you can't always do a perfectly exact, like, first you're trying to tell a story, in this case, really shine a light on and draw the parallels between the human trafficking, the abuse that Natasha had, all this other stuff between her and Taskmaster. I get that as character development. You can't always make everything just like the comic book, because otherwise then you get Crossbones and you get kind of a throwaway, and it's not nearly as powerful a character as you wanted it to be. And if you end up disappointed because Crossbones was kind of meh. You could have had the same thing happen to Taskmaster. They wanted Taskmaster to have more of an importance here. And so I understand it. I didn't mind the costume. I don't know why people were freaking out over the costume for Taskmaster.
I don't know why people are acting like the new Taskmaster in depth before this film was even announced. Let's just be honest about that too. The other thing too is
there are some great Taskmaster stories, but he's a B villain.
He's not an A-list character. The other thing too is what I tell people now is go watch that film again and watch. I think we missed, not so much you and me, Ray, but I think people missed how much Taskmaster mimics other heroes from the MCU in that film, because he mimics everyone, but from Black Widow to Captain America to Iron Man, everyone has a fighting style in there, and it was actually kind of cool. But they didn't really draw attention to it, and if you don't know to look for it, you're not going to see it. But yeah, look, the purpose of that movie was to give Scarlett Johansson a correct goodbye. To be fair, to introduce the new Black Widow and the widows who are going to obviously,
I think it's going to be a play.
And Valentina. So again, it was should have been made between Civil War and
Winter Soldier
or Infinity War. Sorry, should have been made between Civil War and Infinity War or in Phase 1. So either way, Ray, I need an adjective again. How would you describe that?
Another one?
Yeah.
Weak.
That's really perfect, right? Thanks. All right, keep going.
Yeah, so those are our opinions on Black Widow. We thought it was fine, guys. We didn't think it was the best, but it was okay. It's not the best Marvel movie, but yeah, moving on now. So we look at that. We because of chat, we fit in a little Marvel section here. You got an extra Black Widow review this week.
Right. Moving on now. Can I introduce this and then you can follow it up real quick? I won't introduce it fully.
Sure.
Space, a conquered frontier. These are the voyages of America's entrepreneurs. Their mission to scratch the surface beyond our solar system and call it an achievement, which it kind of is in a weird way.
Yeah. It opens
go
up
where many men have been before.
Yeah. Yeah. So
go ahead.
for those of you who don't know, the big story the past couple of weeks really has been that Richard Branson and now Jeff Bezos, born in 1964, both have reached the edges of our atmosphere. Their first steps into commercial space exploration and space travel were successful. Bezos in particular came off incredibly awkward. Branson was his usual charismatic self.
Branson had a nice message. He had a great message. So real quick, Branson gave his message while he was actually in space, just the early parts outside. And he pretty much said, and this was powerful. He goes, look, I was a kid with a dream. And like that dream came true. And everyone told me I couldn't do it. So follow your dreams. I thought that was a really great message from Richard Branson. And I appreciate him for doing that. He's been talking about going to space for decades. So I applauded him for doing that. And again, Virgin Galactic, by the way, that was a pretty brilliant name, is going to start flying people up there. So good for them.
Yeah, no, Richard Branson has constantly been at the forefront of travel with his Virgin brand, of everything with his Virgin brand. Some things have worked better than others. I miss Virgin America so badly here in the States in terms of air travel.
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe Alaska bought them.
Yeah, Delta bought
Virgin America was great, and Alaska Airlines is terrible. They will not be a sponsor of the show. And Darkstroke says he's surprised that Elon hasn't done. Elon's working on it, Darkstroke. Elon's working on it. He's going to be next. Yeah, he wants to go to Mars. He wants to go to Mars and stay on Mars. He said it. Right. He wants to be amongst the first people to try and colonize Mars. So
his goal is to be the first human on Mars. That's going to be his contribution. And to be fair, he's a lot closer to that than Bezos or Branson. I think Branson's done. I don't think Branson's going anywhere else. I think that was the goal, right? Yeah, I don't know what Bezos's goal is at all. Did you know that?
Well, I mean, he's Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor. So now he's going to probably start building his space laser or something.
Did you know that Bezos and Elon Musk actually met like 10, 15 years ago to talk about space travel? And then it's one of the things. Look, and this is what I want to get into. It's not a major accomplishment in terms of overall human space travel, but in terms of privatized commercial space travel, this actually is a big deal. Keeping in mind too that the world's governments got involved in the space race and did incredible, amazing things that we far take for granted way too much today. The fact we were able to send people to the moon is unbelievable. And I wish we revered that accomplishment a bit more than we do. But look, for a private citizen to create a group and get to space, 50 years later, it's a big deal. Yeah. All right. It just shows you how much technology is advanced. And, I think a lot of the hatred these guys are getting for exploring or pushing the potential of human beings is unwarranted. So I'm not against it from that standpoint. What I am kind of weirded out by was Jeff Bezos' speeches after that his gigantic penis went into the air. But, it was weird. I mean,
it was a very phallic looking spaceship.
Yeah, yes. I don't know how that got approved, but whatever, man. It is what it is. I mean, He would have been better off with the little middle finger shaped thing. But yeah, look.
Yeah, that'd be.
Yeah, there's no other way to describe it. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Like if you
imagine my middle finger up right now because I'm not gonna flip off the audience, and then like the other fingers fall off. Those are the booster rockets to get up into space.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense. But and then, again, it was a super awkward interview. But look, I'm just saying this. It's not a bad thing that these companies are going to space. I think Bezos made a really weird statement. Be like, I want to thank anyone who's ever shopped on Amazon, worked at Amazon, or like. Yeah, it's kind of a touchy subject right now, Justin.
Yeah, it's like, dude, you've made so much money. Like, give your guys some bathroom breaks or something.
Right.
Like,
so we'll see what happens, but I don't think humans aspiring to the stars is a bad thing, right?
No.
Okay, and that's all I'm trying to say is that we've lost the aura around a space race, and there's a new space race starting with these privatized companies, and these are the types of innovations that will change the world for the better in the future. And I can prove that because NASA did it. You guys like Velcro? Where do you think that came from? Lots of things that came out of the space exploration are things we use every single day. You like your microwaves? All right. Like these all came from NASA.
Yeah.
All right. So I think when you get a privatized company doing the same type of exploration, it's going to really benefit mankind in the long run. But we'll see.
Yeah, no,
Matt made one of the best dad jokes I've ever seen. He said, Velcro is a total ripoff. How could I go?
Steal that from
Ow.
Chelsea on TikTok. Yeah, so that was a good one, Matt. Very, very good.
Matt,
yeah, no, this is great. This is great that we are exploring space, that we are moving forward with this. This is a big deal. And Matt says that the phallic design for Bezos' spaceship, said the engineer said it was the optimal design. It was the optimal design, but it was not the optimal optics.
Yeah. Like this is the first rocket ship ever to go into space. This was the optimal design after we just saw Musk and everybody else make awesome looking spaceships. Ray, we did talk about the design of his ship. Would you please give me another part of the body?
Part of the body? Your arm.
Okay. That's what you want for real? All right. Okay. No, that's fine. I got it. I'm running it in. Okay.
I mean, I was good. I mean, we could have kept going with the theme, but I figured I'm scared. I don't know what you're doing, so I didn't want to do that.
That's very fair. It's very fair. I'll use the arm. You're in control here. I'll use the arm.
Okay, I am in control. I am in control.
I'll let you know this. Audience, I will let the audience get involved. For those of you listening on Twitch, I need you to give me another a part of the body, but plural. So it would be arms if he was doing this, and keep it G-rated. I'm not trying to go too far here. Could the audience at any point give me a part of the body plural? I'll let you guys get involved. Teeth. That's very good. Matt Cavalier comes in with teeth. That's going to work out well. Okay, keep going, Ray.
Okay, so that does it for our geek section here. Like you said, a shorter geek section than normal. But again, that'll change obviously. Technically, by the way, Comic-Con is happening right now,
and nobody knows.
Everybody forgot.
Yeah, nobody knows.
Everybody forgot. It's just absolutely so under the radar. I don't know if there'll be a Comic-Con next year because it's become.
I think
irrelevant.
There's going to be a big live return to these things, probably next year. And then I think they're going to do really great for a year and give everybody a really great false sense of security. And then they're going to die over the next 5 years. That's what I think is going to happen. And I think that PAX should be watching and cancel PAX right now. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Or make it online
yeah,
again.
I think
it's fine.
They still haven't sold out their tickets. They still
not going to. They should go online, and they should do it online again. That was successful, and figure it out.
Yeah, we're not ready to be back in person, especially like fully masked up people. That's a whole other thing. But and yeah, Dark Stroke said it agrees too in chat. Says Comic-Con is dying.
You don't need Comic-Con when you have the Geeks Who Like Sports.
Yeah, we bring you Comic-Con every week.
Guys. Every week.
Like,
and
yeah, we
eSports
give you a video game panel, we give you a comic book panel, we give you movie panels. Just come here. Just come here every week.
Help us
grow the show, geekswholiksports.com.
Help us grow the show.
EWLS podcast on Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah, Darkstroke's a fan. He's always here when we do this. I appreciate you.
I mean, Matt, I'll say this: if we start making some real money with this, we will do a show every day for sure. We'd be happy to do that.
Contact your local senator and let them know you want Geeks Who Like Sports to be in the next legislature.
Yes.
Wait, that doesn't.
Yeah, actually, one more geek story. That I
Hey,
didn't
I
mention
like
this.
that.
Actually,
I
one
like
more
the
geek
geek stuff.
story. I'm going to add this. We're going to go back to video games. I'm going to add this into the rundown for our producer, Caitlin. Pennsylvania.
Oh God. I'm in Pennsylvania, Ray, right now. What's happening, Ray? Let the
Brought
people
to
know.
you
I gotta
specifically
know.
by your Northern Philadelphia representative.
Oh goodness.
Is looking to become one of the second state, I believe, to pass esports betting and gambling in the state.
Yes, because Pennsylvania.
This is a big deal. New Jersey was the first, no surprise with Atlantic City, but esports betting, as esports is growing, obviously Philadelphia, once COVID starts to lift a bit more, they're going to continue and hopefully finish construction on that massive Comcast esports arena. This is a big deal, but legislation has been brought before the Pennsylvania Congress, your legislature, to pass an esports betting bill that will allow for any event that the participants have to be above 18 or older. So kind of like you can't bet on high school sports, but you can bet on college and pro sports, right? Similar thing to allow esports competition to be bet on in Pennsylvania. I think this is a great deal. Also, a quick shout out to our good friend Jason Finelli, his podcast, Cheesesteaks and Controllers. He actually had a interview with the Pennsylvania legislature representative who brought this before the legislature. So give him a follow and a listen as well. He's there. So that was a really interesting thing. And I thought this was a fantastic thing. And I think it's showing that esports is permeating the culture in a big way as well it should. And I think this is going to be good for everyone involved. It's more money for Pennsylvania. It's a bigger spotlight on esports. It's already supposedly bringing money in for Jersey. Supposedly for every dollar bet on esports, the state makes like 55 cents, which is good. Especially post-COVID, states are going to be looking for more ways to make money. But it's also, again, it's a way for you to potentially make money. Go bet on esports. You can bet on anything. Who do you want to win in Overwatch League? Who do you want to win in Evo? Make some bets. I don't know. Legal gambling. I'm all for legal gambling.
The USA is well behind on this front. When I lived in England, you could do that. You could bet on anything in England. So, and guess what? It didn't kill the country. So, just the first step in many. I'm surprised Nevada hasn't done this yet. But it's good for gaming. I agree with you.
Yeah. So I just wanted to sneak that story in there. That broke this week. It was a thing that I didn't know, but since we kind of talked about it, it was an easy transition, for sure. But yeah, let's see. So moving from esports now to regular sports, that does fully wrap up our geek section now. A lot going on there. Actually, and speaking of, we'll get to money in a bit, but first off, the NBA finals have concluded. The Milwaukee Bucks, for the first time in literally 50 years, are your NBA champions. 1971 was the last time they won the championship. Giannis had 50 points in Game 6 on way to a well-deserved Finals MVP trophy. And you know what? This was honestly one of the most fun playoffs I've watched in a long time in the NBA, mostly because all the big stars lost. No LeBron, no Kevin Durant, no Harden, no Kyrie Irving, no whiny, crying players. It was guys who worked their tails off, kind of flew under the radar. Darkstroke mentioned it is sad that Chris Paul does not get a ring, but I really was actually, for the first time in years, really invested in the NBA Finals. And by the way, for everybody who said that the East continues to be a weak conference, every year when LeBron since left the East the past 3 years, the East has won the 2 titles that LeBron didn't win. So it was Raptors, LeBron's Lakers, and now the Bucks. The East is back, baby. The East is back. And but congrats to Giannis and the Bucks. Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday. It was a great series. The Suns kind of imploded there towards the end. They kind of choked. They choked in Game 4. They really choked in Game 5. And then the Bucks just came out and stomped them in Milwaukee in Game 6. But it was a good series overall. It was a good series. The first couple games were blowouts, but really turned into a good series once the Bucks got their footing. And congrats to the Milwaukee Bucks and congrats to everybody in Milwaukee, because now you have a basketball team, especially then since you might not have a football team much longer if Aaron Rodgers leaves Green Bay. That's another story. But anyway, Lee, what are your thoughts on the Bucks?
2 things. I believe we said a few weeks ago, Ray, when it was 2-0 in that series, then people were going, "Oh, it's over." I believe I said you should never call a series over after the first 2 games because you never know what's going to happen. And this was a sweep after the first 2 games by the other team. So that's the first thing I want to say is that, people need to learn that lesson at some point. The next thing I want to say is that Giannis had this great quote about, we're not a super team and we just did it the old fashioned way. And I love that. I love it. We're a team. We worked hard together and we won. And it just goes to show you. And again, I'm in my line of work as a team builder, Ray. I am always happy and amazed, seriously, every time this happens where super teams tend to dominate the league for a while. And then again, a team rises up, works as a team, figures it out as a team, and in the aggregate wins. All right. And both, to be fair, the Suns and the Bucks champion that. It's not just the Bucks, right? I was going to say this no matter who won. No super team won this year. A team won.
Right.
Right, just goes to show.
It's not to say, and it's not like there aren't stars on these teams, but they're not like
they're not built. Different. They're not built that way. Is what I'm saying. They're not built by aggregating the best 4 players in the game and putting them on one team.
Right.
They're built from the ground up.
Inspiring in the offseason on a yacht somewhere to join you in the offseason.
That's what I'm saying. This was a homegrown team of great players, both them and the Suns, that have just won the NBA title, the finals with an S.
Right. Yeah, most of the guys in Phoenix were drafted by Phoenix. Obviously, Chris Paul came over, but like that, and the same thing with Milwaukee. Giannis was drafted by that. Like it was just good drafting. It was a team built the right way.
Right.
And you could also make an argument to say, well, if the Lakers were healthy, if the Nets were healthy, they weren't. They weren't though. And that's another part about the super team sometimes is that, you know what? Maybe because of all this, maybe they're expected to win. Maybe these guys aren't conditioned as well. Maybe they're not practicing as hard. Maybe they're not taking care of themselves. I don't know. That's speculation on my part. But
the other thing I want to say is I think it was Stephen A. Smith said something along the lines of nobody wants to watch this now because all the superstars are out. And you just said it. That's not true at all. I want to watch it. I loved it. I entertained it. I think this is a call out to the basketball world that look, maybe you need to take a look at yourself a little bit here. Ray, if you had to pick an adjective to describe the Bucks, what would it be?
I was going to say perseverance. I mean, I get it for perseverance.
Right. Strong-willed? No.
Yeah, scrappy. We'll call him Scrappy. We'll say scrappy.
That's good. There we go. I got it in.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, congratulations to the Milwaukee Bucks and that fan base. Long time coming. And again, we'll see what happens next year. The big question now in the NBA, because the way NBA looks at superstars is LeBron hitting that age gap now. We don't know. We don't know. I would not be surprised if it comes back either way. Saw a funny thing, just merging geekdom with this for a minute. Saw a really funny post about Space Jam. And it said Jordan went 21 for 21 in his game and LeBron went 4 for 5. Tell me who the GOAT is. It's true. It's true. I was like, wow, it's a good point because in the original one, every basket was just 2 points. I think LeBron only takes 5 shots in the game, so that's a good point.
Wow, interesting. Very interesting. Well, at this point, I've almost pieced together all of Space Jam because I've seen so many spoilers online.
Yeah, I told you it's worth a watch. It is worth a watch. Yeah. But I thought that was a funny thing to say.
It was very weird to see Porky Pig do a rap battle. I will say that much.
I'm gonna say it again. It's worth a watch. It was very fun to watch. I'm not gonna watch it again, but it was worth a watch.
I may watch. I'll watch it probably. I'll probably watch it before it leaves HBO.
Yeah, it's one of those. You get a chance and you get a few hours. You want to watch something that's gonna make you laugh. It'll make you laugh, Ray. I promise.
All right. Something else I laughed at was season long. Everybody laughed at the Minnesota Timberwolves, but they have new ownership now, led by former New York Yankee Alex Rodriguez. ARod and his group was finally approved. They came back to the table. Finally, this was something that had been worked on for a while. We knew this was where supposedly they came to the table. They left the table. Now they're back at the table. It's going to happen. ARod and his group are going to buy the Timberwolves. We've seen this a lot. A lot of former ball players from basketball, baseball. A lot of guys. You've seen this in football with Mahomes while he's still a player. Buying stock in professional football teams. ARod now owns the Minnesota Timberwolves. I hope he turns that franchise around. I do. Like, that franchise hasn't been good in a very, very long time. They've always traded their best players to other teams, whether it was the Cavs or the Celtics or whoever. I hope he turns that team around. But good for ARod getting his foot there in Minnesota. I've heard Minnesota's a beautiful place. Never been. Always wanted to go. But
it is nice.
Most for sports. But Yeah, no, so good for them. I thought that was an interesting thing. We're gonna get into more ownership stuff later in sports, but yeah. So congrats to ARod. Any thoughts on the T-Wolves now being the AT Wolves, the A-team Wolves?
Well, I'll tell you what. In our chat here,
I'll work on it. We got a whole offseason.
Darkstroke in our chat says ARod with a puking emoji. Darkstroke, why do you hate ARod? I never understood the ARod hate. I understood like him being annoying sometimes, or understood when he was on the Yankees underperforming, still ended up, really helping to bring a championship to the Yankees. I never understood all the ARod hate other than he got bigger than he was supposed to. And I'll also say this, that, yeah, I think in professional sports, it's a good thing when former athletes get involved. I think we underestimate that side of things where, we talk about the greedy owners of professional sports. And I'm not saying that some of these athletes aren't greedy, but they've risen up to have enough money to get involved. I don't think it's bad for sports teams when athletes get involved who have been through playing in professional sports. So yeah, it's
no, I don't think so. I don't think it's a bad thing either. Just to talk to Darkstroke's point, because I know Darkstroke is a big Yankee fan like myself. I think that's part of the reason a lot of Yankee fans have very mixed feelings about.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand it as a baseball player. Right, but
yeah. I mean, he definitely I don't mind him outside of baseball. Like I think he's I kind of wish he was more like a Derek Jeter, where he kind of like just didn't, or an Eli Manning, didn't fade completely from the limelight, but kind of, I think ARod's still so much in everybody's face that it's kind of like, dude, like
that's how he makes his money, though. Like, I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, like he's doing what he's got to do for his business. So, I mean,
I will say this. Yeah. He is a great color commentator on Sunday Night Baseball. Yeah. He should be a hitting coach, honestly. Like if he I listen to him on Sunday Night Baseball, and I'm like, I wish the Yankees would hire him as the hitting coach, because goodness knows Marcus Timms isn't cutting the cheese. It is. I will say that much, but I also say that ARod can be very annoying sometimes. And yeah, of course, for a long time there, he had some great years with the Yankees. Obviously, won the 2009 World Series. I think it's also a lot of Yankee fans look at it it feels like if ARod had lived up to his full potential in pinstripes, plus the steroid scandal, the Yankees, and I know people aren't going to feel bad for us, but Yankee fans feel like we should have won more during that era.
Sure.
And we only got the one title. Like it's like the Mets of the 80s, right? Yeah, you had Strawberry and Gooden and Hernandez and Cone, and you got one title. And I feel like ARod's part of that. Like, you celebrate the 2009 championship, but you also feel like, man, we had this wide open window and we didn't take advantage of it.
Yeah, right. I'll tell you this though. Yeah, this isn't a I don't feel bad for your statement. I just think New York fans have a misconstrued understanding of how hard it is to win. And that's partly because they win so much. That's not a shot. I mean, that's like a fair statement. But like, look, winning is very hard. You're not supposed to win every year. Again, Yankee fans.
What?
Yeah, I know, right?
What?
It's very hard to win. The thing is that those Yankee teams were competitive, very competitive. Okay, you could have been in the World Series every year, but I just think New York fans are very unrealistic with their expectations. Because they're spoiled. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. I mean, I wish I was spoiled too. I wish I had so many championships that I was spoiled. All right. But it's unrealistic to win every year. And the thing is if they weren't competitive to New York fans, if the Yankees were not competitive in that time period, I would be like, yeah, no, he really underperformed.
Like this year.
Right. Exactly. That's my point. Right. All right. You have the best pitcher in the game. Right. So it's like, but when I look at that era, it's like you guys were very competitive year in, year out. It's not realistic to win every year. And even when you're the best team on paper and you get to October, it doesn't always go in your favor. So that's why I get kind of annoyed sometimes at not just New York fans. This is like any fans of a team that has won over and over again. It's not realistic to continue to win, right? Tampa Bay is going to be insufferable here moving forward, okay, after the last year they've had, right? If you had to use a plural noun to talk about this topic, what would it be? Plural noun against a thing or an object, plural. You gave robots for the last one.
Athletes. Since we're on the topic.
That actually works.
Okay. And Darkstroke says in chat, it's the steroid scandal that really kind of turned him on.
I can't.
That's completely fair.
No, it's not. It's not fair to hate any of those athletes because all of them were doing it. You can hate the MLB. This is my opinion. Okay. I do understand some annoyance, but those guys did what they had to do to survive, and baseball, in terms of Major League Baseball, wasn't stopping it. Okay. So if you're going to hate ARod for that, you have to in turn hate every player from that era. Okay. To me, there's no gray area on that one. It's not, you can't pick and choose who you feel like not liking because they did steroids.
I would say that, I mean, even for me, a lot of those players are marred. Even my favorite player, I loved Andy Pettit.
That's fair.
I loved Andy Pettit. And when I found out that he had done steroids to get healthy when Houston, thanks Roger Clemens, freaking jerk.
Yeah. That's fair though.
That really hurt me as a fan. Andy Pettit went from one of my probably my favorite Yankee starting pitcher in my lifetime to not anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that's
I get he's human and I get people make mistakes, but everybody who took steroids and has come out, Mark McGwire, Sosa, they're all marred to me. I don't hate them.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I don't have a problem with that because you're being fair about it. But I think a lot of people pick and choose the athletes they want to like and don't like. It's like Giants fans who hate ARod but are okay with Barry Bonds. Like that's not okay. You know what I'm trying to say? Like that doesn't make any sense to me. All right. If you're okay with Bonds in his situation, you need to be okay with ARod or vice versa.
Right. Yeah. It's all really an all or nothing. No, I completely agree. I agree with that. I'll agree with that.
And Doug's saying this too. He says he didn't have to use it. He was good before that. I agree with that too. All right. But here's the thing, man. At that level, if someone's taking something that makes them 5% better, 10% better, you're going to take it too. Because at that level, and this is really important, at any professional level, getting 1% better is potentially worth millions of dollars. Millions.
Yep.
So they'll do whatever they have to do. And if no one's stopping it, let's just be totally honest about it. It was good for the game in the late 90s. It was great for the game. It wasn't until it was uncovered that it became a bad deal. Everybody loved McGwire and Sosa going at it. Everybody.
Yeah.
So dark stroke. I'm not calling out you. I'm definitely not calling out Ray. There's a big hypocrisy here from the fan base of what they're willing to accept in baseball. I think it's never been proven more than now. Okay. But it is not just limited to baseball, to be fair. It's in all sports. Right. But you can't pick and hate a guy because he did something everyone was doing. All right. Yeah. That's just my opinion on it.
No, it's true. It's true. I mean, and Dark Stroke also does bring up a good point about the Hall of Fame, is that it's going to be interesting to see how the Hall of Fame handles this or has handled this so far. I mean, do you keep out the career home run leader, Barry Bonds, from the Hall of Fame? Do you keep out Roger Clemens, who has 7 Cy Youngs?
I'll give you my answer to that. No, you don't. And I'll tell you what, you don't put an asterisk or anything. You know why? Because history is going to remember all this stuff. When you go to Wikipedia, it's going to say there's a lot of controversy over him and steroids. These guys deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. They deserve it. Okay.
Well, but the thing is that, okay, so if they deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, then what about the Black Sox players from 1919?
Yes, I think all of that I think that all needs to be revisited. I think the Blackhawks. I think the Black Sox, I almost said Blackhawks. I think Pete Rose. I think today, I haven't been hitting this if you're watching the show. I think today's MLB is an absolute disgrace to sports.
Yeah.
And I think it has completely vindicated every one of those people that was wrong. Every one of them. And that I think that we talked about leadership earlier. When the MLB has leadership again, I think a lot of this will be taken up. But I think I think I am watching the worst era of baseball in my life now. And that includes the steroids.
No, that's true. I still think
not watching it.
I still think it's fine for Pete Rose to be banned from baseball, but he should still be in the Hall of Fame if you get what I'm saying.
I mean, it doesn't matter now.
Like he can't manage anymore. He can't manage. He can commentate. Like he wants to be a broadcaster. That's fine. But like you can't do anything with the teams on the field. I think the same thing actually for the Houston Astros. Same thing. Jose Altuve, Alec Bregman, Carlos Correa. Sure, you can be in the Hall of Fame. Like I'm not going to take away your I don't want to take away your World Series title. I don't want to put an asterisk next to it. But you should all be kicked out of baseball, just like the Black Sox were.
They really should. They really should. And I don't believe there's no proof. I believe that they don't want us to see it. So
there's plenty of proof. There's plenty.
That's what I'm saying. They keep saying, well, there's nothing that proves it. I'm like, there's a lot that proves it, but we don't need to go back to that. All right, let's
we got plenty of baseball.
Go to a sport that I like. Though. No, I'm just.
I was gonna say we're gonna get more baseball later. Because we got a couple of things there, but we're gonna go into the NHL first.
Yay!
Much like the Kraken, we're gonna go into it, and it's the expansion draft happened this week. Every team lost a player. Rangers lost Colin Blackwell,
except for Vegas.
Which we kind of expected. Except for Vegas, that's correct. Except for Vegas, that was part of their deal to come into the league a few years ago. But they paid for it in terms of finances. Casey is mentioning it in chat. It has been an interesting 72 hours.
Especially for the Philadelphia Flyers, who look awesome.
We're recording this on July 24th. A lot of trades have occurred. The expansion draft has happened already. The Kraken have traded one. We also have the entry draft, the rookie draft. Kraken traded one of their players that they picked in the expansion draft for a pick to trade him to Calgary. Yeah, I mean, Casey's been harping on this, what was it, Seth Jones or whatever, this deal. There's just all these deals going on. The Rangers, what's it, Goodrow or whatever, they picked up from Tampa Bay since he wasn't the player selected in the expansion draft, now signed him to a deal. They traded Pavel Buchnevich to the Blues for really a third or fourth liner and draft picks, which the Rangers are trying to, it's a cap. Buchnevich is going to be a free agent. It's a cap move. A lot of these teams are making moves to get. They keep on. Yes, stay under the cap. It's all about the salary cap. Lee, talk about your Flyers though, because now suddenly you have 3 number 1 defensemen.
Yes, I'm very happy with the Flyers moves. Mainly because I've been kind of, again, this is a little bit of vindication for me. Casey, who's in the audience, will actually say that, because I've been saying for the Flyers that they are not as far off as people think they are. But we lack top 6 D and we lack goal scorers to play with Claude Giroux. Other than that, we're very deep in terms of our lineup. We have a great power play in terms of JVR being there if it's used correctly. We have a great goalie in Carter Hart, although he didn't have the best season last year. He's still a great goaltender. So what did the Flyers look like? Well, a week ago, we had 1 top D. Now we have 3. After getting Ellis and after getting Ristolainen, a fun name to say, Ristolainen. I said island. Anyway, I'm on an island. Buffalo. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So now we have 3 number 1 D on our lineup with one of the best goalies in the game. You can fight me on that later. And our bottom 3 D are more than capable. You go to the offense. We just traded Jake Voracek, right, back to the Columbus Blue Jackets for Cam Atkinson, someone you'd be very familiar with, Ray, who it can be a 30 to 40 goal scorer under the right scenario, or the right coach. System, and I believe that's what is happening. He's going to play with Claude Giroux, and be on our power play. Suddenly the Flyers are very, very dangerous looking on paper. I told you, only needed 2 or 3 moves to make them really competitive. I think they're there. As a Flyers fan, Ray, it's really nice to see, because the fan base, is kind of on this, do we blow them up or keep moving forward? And I had this belief of like, we're way closer than people think. And I think this proves that the organization feels the same way. So it's some massive moves. We traded Shane Gostisbehere and picks to Arizona for literally nothing. Literally did not get anything in return to move the cap space. We had to convince them to take him. He's not a bad D, but we had to convince them to take him with draft picks. We'll get something back from that in the future, probably a draft pick as well.
Yeah, you got future considerations for it.
So there'll be a draft pick there. Ristolainen is a great pickup. Casey's talking in chat. But again, suddenly we have a lot of tools. And again, the Flyers fans have been going nuts in a bad way. Like, you can't get rid of this guy. We lost Twarynski in the expansion draft. I was like, yes, wow. They didn't take somebody I thought they were going to take. We moved Nolan Patrick. Flyers look dangerous. Flyers look very dangerous right now.
You made win now moves, right? You've sacrificed a couple of years worth of draft picks to get a lot of players that will turn you into a contender right now. It's
they're talking.
Rangers fan, I'm not happy.
No, Rangers are going to be good too. They're talking in the chat about Ristolainen and that he
I worry about
a lot of hate, but it's like he's been playing in Buffalo under a really horrible team culture. He's a big scrappy D. If he's our third best D, I'm pretty happy about that. So Flyers fans out there, if you don't like that, come fight me. That's what we do anyway. All right, but let's be honest. This team is way better today than they were 3 days ago when we're recording this. I thought, Ray, the expansion draft was very weird the way it was handled. But here's another thing.
Well, it was everything was leaked beforehand, kind of ruined it.
Well, it didn't ruin it for me in the sense of that, again, somebody asked me that, how do you feel it was leaked? I said, this isn't a Marvel movie. And again, if you wanted to watch it, I get it. But this to me, you want to know these moves as soon as they happen in sports. Typically, it doesn't have to be a slow burn. So that didn't bother me at all. What that did prove to me, though, Ray, because the Kraken are playing this severely financially smart. All right. And I think this is what no one's talking about right now. And I'm bringing this up on the show, is that professional sports in America have been really hurt by the pandemic financially. I bet you that league revenues are down 25%, if not more. We have to remember the Kraken just spent over $1 billion to build that team. Over $1 billion. And they have not made any money yet. So they don't have the money to spend on Carey Price or Jake Voracek. They don't have that kind of money. So they're playing it smart. They're getting a lot of young players Mark Giordano, the captain of the Calgary Flames, is probably going to be captain of the Seattle Kraken. He's a great leader to start the franchise, right? But what they're doing is they're okay being mediocre for probably the next 3 years, knowing they just sold all their season tickets. They don't need to break the bank and win right now, right? And they have a lot of trade bait. So I think that they played it smart. It's not exciting, and I don't know how well they're going to do it. They're in a division they could probably start winning pretty quickly and be competitive. But that wasn't the Vegas Golden Knights draft that I think everybody was thinking. And it was just very awkward, by the way. ESPN's first major NHL broadcast, once again, awkward.
And everything was leaked. Yeah.
It was weird, but we'll see what they do moving forward.
Yeah. So a couple other stories around the league breaking this morning. Sam Reinhart of Buffalo. Buffalo's blowing it up. Eichel's going to be next. Eichel's going to be next. Just traded to the Panthers for a goalie prospect and a first-round pick. Panthers are close. They were close last year. They need a little bit. They think they need a little more scoring, obviously. And Cale Makar just signed a 6-year extension with the Avalanche. 6 years, $9 million a year. So good for him. Dude getting paid. He's going to be a superstar defenseman.
He's earned it. Yeah. Funny, he was traded for nothing. I think he was traded out of LA for nothing to them. And
he's no Adam Fox, but he's pretty good.
Yeah, it's fair, right? No, hey, listen, you guys.
Hey, Norris Trophy winner.
Awesome.
We need to hang our head on something because I really worry about
Rangers are going to be very competitive next year. I'm looking forward to Rangers Flyers games next year, Ray, to be honest with you. But it's going to be good, and I'm really excited about, again, as a Flyers fan, I haven't felt this good about our team's moves in a while. I don't remember the last time I felt like, wow, that was a great move. Flyers fans should be excited. Again, you got a defenseman from one of the worst teams in the league who is very good, and you cannot base anything off of what he's been doing in Buffalo. And Cam Atkinson is a goal scorer, and he's going to play with probably one of the best playmakers in the game right now. I'm very happy with these moves. They have to perform.
Yeah,
though. I'll say that too. Ray, since we're talking about hockey, could you give me a part of the body, please? Can't be
your foot.
Yes. All right.
Cool. So Matt asks in chat what I think about if the Rangers are going to get Eichel. I don't think so. The last I heard was they had a ridiculous asking price for him. I think it's going to have to come down a bit.
No, you don't need him. You don't need him.
I don't. Yeah, the Rangers need defense. Like honestly,
you're in the same position the Flyers were.
People were mad about the Buchnevich trade, but I'm okay with it because we need more depth forwards and not top 2 line forwards. First off, so I think that I forget who we got back from St. Louis, but he's a depth forward, and I'm fine with that. Plus picks. I think that Matt, I said 6 years, $54 million, so $9 million a year. Yeah, I think that the Rangers need defense. They need somebody else to go with Fox. They just bought out D'Angelo, by the way. Speaking of buyouts, Matt mentioned in chat about buyouts happening. First buyout happened this morning. Goodbye, Tony D'Angelo, you racist sack of crap. He's gone. It's okay, Matt. It's okay. But So it's gonna be this. Rangers are gonna look different, but I right now we need defense. I like Miller. I like a couple other pieces we have there. I don't know if they're going to re-sign. I think Brendan Smith's a free agent. I don't know if they're going to re-sign him or give him another one of those 1-year deals. But you need Fox build on the defense side. Build around Fox.
Right.
You have a Norris Trophy winner. Build around Fox
and Panarin. Obviously,
in terms of again top 2 lines, I think I'm fine with Zibanejad, Panarin. We're going to be fine there.
Let's be very honest here. Something that Ranger fans and Flyers fans haven't said. So first off, I think I'm vindicated in saying to the Flyers fans out there that we didn't make any moves last year or the year before because it was COVID times and it didn't make sense to make any moves. And I think that's exactly what you're seeing now. That Chuck Fletcher is actually a pretty good GM, but he played it smart. And they knew that. And they moved a lot of draft picks this year because this wasn't the strongest draft year ever. Number one. Number two, let's be perfectly honest here. We're going back to the Metropolitan Division, right? The team to beat in the Metropolitan Division right now is the New York Islanders, right? Ranger fans, Pittsburgh fans, and Flyers fans, Washington fans, Carolina fans. We all like to think we're like, oh, we're the team. No, the Islanders are the team to beat. Let's just be perfectly honest about that. And we're all building to beat them. Okay. But things have changed. We don't have to play Boston like we did last year anymore. All right. It's a very different division suddenly. Right. And I think what you're looking at is the Metro becoming the best division in the NHL this season. I believe that.
No, I believe. Yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna all be beating up on each other for 82 games, and I think that
Columbus too.
I mean, even with the Islanders losing Eberle in the expansion draft, there's still the team to beat. So,
yeah.
One other NHL story I want to just mention is we mentioned it because we've been doing this a lot. This is actually a good sign that this is happening more and more across sports. Luke Prokop, I believe I'm saying that correctly. If I'm not, I apologize. Nashville Predator prospect playing right now for the Calgary Hitmen, owned by Brett, or I think he still owns them, Brett the Hitman Hart. That's why they're called the Hitman. Anyway, came out as gay this week, which was a big deal. This is the first time a hockey player. We had a football player do this, an active football player do this a little while ago. Now we have our first hockey player. He's supposedly a pretty highly touted prospect, I believe, in the Predators organization. I think he's 19 years old, and this is a big deal. Fortunately, that the organization supported him. Obviously, everybody supports him. The league is supporting him. This is a great thing, and it's good to see that players are now at the point where they can comfortably be who they truly are in the public eye and don't have to have fear of repercussions from their constituents and whatnot. I mean, obviously there's still a lot of hate in the world, but good for him. We support him. And it just this was a good story. This is another good story from sports. So
yeah, look, you're seeing this. It's got to be mentioned. And, I work with a lot of people of color and people with different sexual preferences, and I just don't care. And I think we're in a place now where, like you said, Ray, people are feeling comfortable enough to come out or speak their story, and there's not much repercussions from their peers. It's a good step forward. Does show that there are some things that are happening that are good in the world. It's not all negative all the time. I'm not talking to you, Ray. I'm talking in general. There's people out there that think this is the greatest and the worst, and that things are progressing forward. It can happen in this country. It's a good thing.
Yeah. No, so good for him. Matt says in chat that the team knew for a while, and they were the ones who helped encourage him, which is great. That's great that he's getting that kind of support. All around.
Yeah,
so
it's changing the world. Changing the world for the better.
It's a changing world. And
if you have a problem with it, the problem is you.
Yeah.
I got no problem saying that.
Yeah, I have no problems with you.
By the way, I do want to say this, though. If you're uncomfortable with it, that's different than having a problem with it. All right? I think there's a lot of people that go, I'm uncomfortable with that. Okay, that's fine. There's a discussion to be had there. If you're against it, if you have a problem with it, the problem is you. You're on the wrong side of history.
Yeah, speaking of problems, let's go to Oakland. Moving to baseball. Actually, Oakland's going to be going to Vegas probably, it sounds like.
I don't want to talk about baseball, but we will shortly.
Yes. So the Oakland A's, the city of Oakland has made a proposal to get a new stadium built and whatnot for the A's, and the owner of the Athletics says that is not a path forward. They are not on board with it.
Yeah.
And so it looks more and more likely that
we're trying so hard. We have to let.
Yeah, I mean, again, you got to remember, Oakland does not have the money that San Francisco has, even though they're very close to each other. That Oakland is
never have had the money.
No,
ever.
No, and it's like Darkstro says it. Yeah, he can't believe another Vegas team.
I can believe it. Sports in Vegas are awesome. Every team there is working. Sports in Vegas are awesome. It's a sports city. They should not have not had a team for the last 40 years. Go to Vegas, A's. Have a great time. Enjoy it. You'll have a fan base there
I would imagine they would probably go and they would probably play where their AAA affiliate plays,
sure,
the Las Vegas Aviators, because I'm going to say that they already said that the Aviators have a stadium that is major league quality, unlike the Toronto Blue Jays up in Buffalo. But so like it might be one of those things where and by the way, it's great to hear that Toronto Blue Jays are going to go back to playing games in Toronto. That is a big deal and shows the progress we've made with COVID. Right. I cannot wait to see the Rogers Center open back up in Toronto. But it needs to be said. I mean, the A's should go to Vegas. I don't know what it'll do to the AAA team.
They're going to have a basketball team there soon too. Vegas is a great sports city. A lot of people give them crap. That's a great sports city. It's going to be one of the best sports cities in America moving forward. Yeah. If you know, I don't know what basketball team is going to go there, but they're going to have all 4 major sports soon.
I mean, honestly, if basketball was smart, they would just do a 2-team expansion, give Seattle back the Supersonics, and then put a team in Vegas.
Right.
And that's what you do. And
but
then
Ray,
you should have
Seattle have a place for a basketball team? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Climate, whatever arena.
New $1 billion arena, Key Arena in Seattle, where hockey is.
Climate Change Arena, I think it's called. So I think that's the actual name of it. So anyway, go to Vegas.
It is the first zero carbon emission stadium.
I believe it.
Which is a big,
Climate Pledge Arena. Thank you, Matt. Look, here's the deal. A's fans, if you're listening, all right, I don't want them to move out of Oakland for you, but the truth is that team deserves better, and you deserve better, and you can still be a fan of your team even if they're in Vegas.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, and honestly, I don't think there's few teams aside from maybe the Braves that have moved as much as the A's over the years. The A's, for those who don't know,
trust me, I know about it.
Started in Philadelphia.
Won a lot of World Series in Philadelphia.
Won 5 World Series in Philadelphia, and then this said goodbye to the city. Moved to Kansas City, did nothing there, and then moved to Oakland and started winning again. Same thing with the Braves. The Braves started in Boston, then moved to Milwaukee, and then went down to Atlanta. So funny enough, people forget that Hank Aaron actually started his career as a Milwaukee Brave, won a World Series there where he beat the Yankees in 1957, and then we got revenge in 1958, but that's a whole different story. And then they moved down to Atlanta, obviously, where he broke the home run record. It just so probably the Braves and the A's have moved the most in baseball history. A's want that record. Move again, Oakland. Move again, Athletics. There you go. Matt's saying they should change their name to the Las Vegas Nomads. Actually, that would be a great name actually for a team. I mean,
I agree.
I like that.
I was going to go on the Phillies and the A's thing, but Matt just lobbed you up the greatest transition we're going to have.
I was going to say, speaking of teams changing their names, Cleveland has beat the Washington football team to the gun. They have already announced their name change for next year. They are good to go, but it is not the best name in my choice. Best name choice in my opinion. Excuse me. They are going to be called the Cleveland Guardians. Why? Because the bridge that leads to the Cleveland Stadium, I believe it's Jacobs Field, there's 8 statues that are called the Guardians of Traffic. And so they're going to be the Cleveland Guardians. Why are you not calling yourselves the Cleveland Rocks? Why? Think outside the box a little. You are not the Guardians of the Galaxy. You do not have Groot at first base. What are you doing? Come on, Cleveland. I know you suck, but come on.
Right, the voice. You got to protect your voice, man. Now, look, Cleveland Rocks.
I'm just so sick of all the stupid people out there, especially in baseball.
I'm wondering if that name was taken or something like that. Yeah, calm yourself down over there. I really don't want you to hurt your voice. But look, I don't know if there was a trademark on Cleveland Rocks or something like that. But it's a simple, easy answer. Guardians, they clearly didn't really care. They just need to move something with something. And look, it says Cleveland on all their jerseys right now. I don't think you're going to get too much Guardians where what's upsetting, Ray, is that, Seattle went there with the Kraken name. Like they went for it. You know what I mean? And it's a shame that other sports cities aren't doing that. I'm not expecting anything amazing out of Washington either, to be fair. But Ray, if you had to give an adjective to describe this move other than stupid, what would it be?
Besides,
this is fun. You can't use stupid. Another adjective.
Clueless. Ignorant.
I love clueless. Clueless works.
Clueless. Go with clueless. There you go.
I'll go to the audience for a couple. I need 3 more, but we'll come back to it.
Yeah. Matt says mystifying.
Matt, I don't need any more adjectives. I need an adverb or a noun. Matt, I'll let you pick that. An adverb tells how something is done.
Yeah, it describes
So I need an adverb or
adjective.
A noun. And if the audience wants to do that, I'll let them do it. Otherwise, Ray, I'll come back to you in a minute. Cleveland Guardians, great. Can we just get through this baseball segment because I don't want to talk about the MLB anymore.
Yeah, no, again, you have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame right there. Just come on, guys. And it's really quickly, some trades are starting to be made. We'll have a big trade deadline breakdown next week. because actually the trade deadline for the first time, and I think in forever, is actually July 30th, not July 31st, because of where the days fall. And there's also no waiver trade deadline this year. So there's no extended trade deadline till August for like, I don't want to call them lesser players, but for like usually smaller moves or maybe on the trade deadline. All the trades need to be done by the end of July 30th. So next week we will have a full trade deadline breakdown, but already Tampa Bay is both a buyer and a seller. They traded 2 pitching prospects to Minnesota for Nelson Cruz, who's having the ageless wonder, 41 years old, 19 homers, 50 RBIs. I think he's hitting 290 still. Absolutely dominating. Has already paid dividends in that lineup. He'll be their DH. And then they send Rich Hill, one of their regular rotation pitchers, to the Mets for a bullpen arm and a prospect, because the Mets need more starting rotation help, because it looks like a lot of guys are going to be more delayed. Syndergaard, Carrasco, DeGrom is hurt again. And so Rich Hill, another ageless wonder, the slow-throwing southpaw, formerly of the Dodgers and many, many other teams, will go to the Mets for the second half of the season. So, yeah, some interesting moves there as Tampa Bay gets rid of a starting pitcher, gets a reliever, and a DH back. And I've said this before. Look, the Yankees' season is done, especially after the past 2 games. I don't want to get into the Brooks Kriske thing. I do not want to get into the Brooks Kriske thing. I need to save my voice. Do not get me started on throwing 4 wild pitches in the same inning to blow a game in extra innings against the Red Sox. Do not get me started. Do not get me started.
Right, move on.
Please. Yes. So, but I think Tampa Bay is gearing up for another run. I think Tampa Bay is going to at least get to the American League Championship Series again. My prediction, White Sox versus Rays, ALCS. That's my prediction there, especially after these moves. That's my thoughts.
I don't have any thoughts, but I do need an adverb, Ray.
Adverb. Deadly.
Oh.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going. Let's get out of the baseball. I'm not a fan of the MLB.
All right, no more baseball. Moving now into football. This was an interesting development this week in the NFL. Yeah. The NFL came out this week and said that if teams have a COVID outbreak and they cannot reschedule the game easily, that the team where the outbreak happened will be forced to take an L, and the team will. There's a good chance that the team will be fined or penalized, including the players, their game day salary. So, if the COVID outbreak in the NFL, you literally could be costing your team playoffs, money.
Sorry, I had to do that.
Playoffs.
Playoffs.
Again. Yeah.
I did it.
Playoffs. Yeah, can't do it yet.
Playoffs.
But this is a big deal. This is finally one of the leagues really stepping up and holding their players accountable. We talked about it last week, the COVID outbreak with the Yankees and the All-Star game. This is a big deal. The NFL said it like play at your own risk. You're running this at your own risk. If we can't reschedule your game, if it's week 15 and you have a COVID outbreak, you're taking the L. That's it. Team doesn't have to play. The other team gets a free bye, and that's it. And I think that they kind of hinted at if there's a dual outbreak, like you can't trace it back to which team started it, that it would probably be a tie. They'll just put a tie on the board because the NFL still has ties because, but like, I don't know why. I wish we would just take the college football rules for the NFL. But this is a big deal. This is a big deal.
Wait, are you telling me that the league, the NFL, the National Football League, is holding their players accountable?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
That's an amazing concept, Ray.
Yeah.
Look, Ray and I talked about this off the show. Yes, I agree with this totally. It is. We've talked about this, and I don't want to get into a vaccination talk, but it is your choice whether or not you want to get one, no matter what like myself or Ray think, whether you should or should not get one. If you decide not to get one, you get COVID, you're going to cost your team a game. That's called keeping your workforce accountable, which is also well within the rights of the owners and the NFL.
Yep.
This is called leadership. Okay.
Yep.
That's leadership. All right. And then Major League Baseball, learn. And I'm not going to even go into it. Learn. That's called accountability and leadership. And I agree with it.
Yeah, and it's not unheard of for this to happen. This actually happened. A hospital in Texas couple of months ago was like everybody on staff from custodians to the highest doctors have to be vaccinated. And there were a fair amount of people who didn't want to be vaccinated, and they were let go. The hospital fired them. They said, we will replace you.
They're right. Yeah, it's within their right to do.
And that's the same thing now with the NFL. So folks like Cole Beasley, who's been very vocal about not wanting to get vaccinated, understand that if the Buffalo Bills miss the playoffs because of you, you are not going to be very welcome to the Bills Mafia. You do not want to be put through one of those tables in the parking lot, Mr. Beasley. I'm going to tell you that right now. And I think that's what they would probably do to you if they missed the playoffs because of a COVID outbreak. So that's all I'm going to say, especially this Bills team that looks very, very good. And I'm going to say it right now. I think the Bills are going to win the East again in the AFC East. But that's we'll get into all our football predictions as we get further into preseason. Right now,
it's almost football. I'm very excited.
It's almost there.
So, like, again, for those of you watching us in football season, Ray and I typically move the episode into the week and not on the weekend, so we can make sure we have great football coverage. Looking forward to that. But, Ray, I always like to talk about football because this is like a cool topic to discuss. But, I've worked in hockey, and I played hockey, I've coached hockey, I've worked in hockey. It's very much been a large part of my life. So when I watch hockey, while I do enjoy it, it's very hard for me to watch that sport not extremely analytical or, with my experience. I'll put it that way. Baseball is boring to me, and I do like going to games with my friends, but it's not a sport I love to watch. Basketball, I do enjoy, but I just don't watch it enough. But football, American football, not the stuff that Matt watches in England that he doesn't really like either, let's be honest about it. But American football, I am a fan. I get to be a fan and act like a fan, a good fan, not an Eagles fan. I just love NFL. I love football. I love the excitement. I love the games on the weekends. I can watch any game and really enjoy it. And I love the cold weather. I love everything about the NFL. And even with all the problems that Goodell, all this stuff, I still love it. It's what sports are supposed to be. I feel the same way about hockey, by the way. But just for me, not having done much in football, I love football. I love the NFL. I can't wait for it to come back.
Yeah, no, we're all on board. What's up, Sonic? Just jumped into chat. How's it going, buddy? It's going to be great. It's going to be a great football season. More football than ever before. They're calling it the biggest season ever, and it's true. 17 games, 17 game schedule.
Yeah. Good.
They've shortened the preseason. They've extended the regular season. I'm all for it.
And you and I have reasons to look forward to this. Here's the deal. You and I have good reasons for this season because I'm not saying we're going to Super Bowls or anything, but it's going to be a good year to watch our teams. It's going to be fun.
Yes.
Unlike last year.
Yeah, I think you guys have a lot of good young potential players. Darkstroke just mentioned in chat. There's a rumor to Deshaun Watson to the Eagles. I don't think that's happening.
We don't operate in rumors here, Darkstroke. But that'd be nice.
Yeah, I do not think that is happening at all, buddy.
Right.
And then the Giants. This is a big year for the Giants. This is Danny Dumpster Fire's make or break year.
I agree.
If he does not make the jump from second year to third year, the kind of jump that Josh Allen made up in Buffalo, to me, he's a bust. He should be his fourth year of his rookie contract. He should be put as a backup role. The Giants should draft another quarterback along with some offensive linemen, please. But they are. This is his make or break year. He's got all the weapons now.
Sonic cries.
Every weapon imaginable.
Sonic Cry is saying that Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers both posted the last dance picture on their Instagram stories. I did see that. And I'm assuming that means they're going to be coming back for 1 year. So we'll see what happens.
I believe so too. I think they're going to make one. They're going to probably try and make one more run at it. But
Rodgers,
Rodgers is getting up there too. I think he's kind of getting tired. And I mean, I get it. He was very insulted, but also this is also karma, by the way. I mean, not through his fault, by the way. But this is what happened to Brett Favre.
Exactly.
This is the exact same thing that happened to Brett Favre.
Yeah.
Like Rodgers was drafted, and then Green Bay was like, Brett, we got this young guy. Let's go. Time to retire. And he's like, I'm not ready yet. And he went to the Jets. He went to the Vikings. He had a couple of good years, he had a couple of bad years, and then he retired. Green Bay wanted to move on. And obviously, Green Bay made the right move. Rodgers won a Super Bowl with them. You got Jordan Love now sitting in the wings, and Green Bay's like, come on, Aaron. What are you doing? And it's kind of a shame that that's how Green Bay Packers have operated now for so long. But they've also been winning they continue to be a perennial winner. So it's not good. It's like the Angels releasing Albert Pujols in the final year of his contract.
Yeah,
it's not a good look, but it might be best for the team, but it's not a good look, if you know what I mean. And there should also have been better dialogue between ownership and the players. And I also think it's going to be interesting to see what happens in Detroit. Sorry, quick baseball thing, because I think the same thing's going to happen to Miguel Cabrera next year when he's this close to 3,000 hits and 500 home runs. Like literally 6 home runs away, and he's 60 hits away from 3,000. One of the best players of our generation, I think, is going to get screwed over in Detroit. But that's just my thoughts on that. But yeah, Lee, what are your, again, you said you think Rogers is going to come back for one more year?
I think that's what the point of the post was that they're just putting it on the table there that, look, we're not going to be together after this season and we're going to take one, and they're just putting everybody on notice. They're creating an identity for the Green Bay Packers for this season. I think it's a smart move, even though it's putting them out there, puts a little bit of a target on them, but they're good enough to win. So we'll see what happens.
Just saying, Aaron Rodgers, if you want to come play your last 2 years in New York City, I would not be opposed.
He would never do that. No,
he probably wouldn't. No, he would probably retire and just go host Jeopardy instead.
Yeah, nobody wants to. I'll be honest with you, Ray. Nobody wants to go to New York and have the Giants fans kill him for being old.
That's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Nobody wants.
Although we were very nice to Kurt Warner, and then the ownership benched him for Eli. That wasn't our call.
Right, but that was also a time period where the Giants were desperate as they are now. So maybe.
That's also true. Sonic says he can go to the Washington football team. You know what? They've got some interesting quarterbacks on that roster, but Rodgers would be a huge upgrade over all of them for sure, Sonic. That is for sure. Moving on now, our final sports topic of the week. Again, we said a sports-heavy episode, and we were not lying.
No.
The Olympics are underway. I was thrilled to see lots of video game representation in the opening ceremony. Lots of music there.
That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's continued also throughout. There's been little fun one-up sounds in the 3-on-3 basketball tournament, and that's the first time 3-on-3 basketball has been an Olympic sport, which is interesting. Baseball's back, softball's back, which I am thrilled about. They never should have left. And then, of course, I actually watched my first bit of Olympics this morning. I saw the women's fencing gold medal match, which went to China. Oh, Sun Yun. I can't say her name.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't
I'm just going to say China won. Congratulations. She's number 3 ranked in the world, beat the number 1 ranked player in the world who got the silver, obviously. But yeah, while drinking my coffee and eating my donuts, I watched the fencing gold medal match because now for the next 3 weeks or so, anytime you turn on NBC, you're going to see Olympics coverage. So, but yeah, it's, I think in that regard, I'm not really super excited for the Olympics. I'm not a guy who really gets into the Olympics, but I do appreciate the fact that for the next 3 weeks, basically, I can turn on the TV at any time of day and watch the best in the world in whatever sport it is doing what they're doing. And this morning it happened to be fencing. So,
yeah,
Lee, what are your thoughts on the Olympics?
Yeah, no, I think it's fair. I think, Ray, the world's largely distracted right now, which is taking away from it. But yeah, look, the Olympics, winter and summer, are always fun to have on. And it is great to see baseball and softball, as you said. And it's going to be interesting to watch basketball too. But yeah, look, the track and field, Simone Biles, who is the greatest of all time in her sport. There's some cool storylines here. And I think as we get into them a little bit and maybe some of the fear mongering dies down from the news, it'll be more enjoyable. But yeah, I just think the world's kind of distracted. But I think as we get into them, it'll get a little more exciting.
Yeah, unfortunately, the biggest stories, at least for the days leading up to the Olympics, was several COVID outbreaks.
Fear.
About 100 folks who were infected or so. But it's a time to come together. More than ever before, right. I think we need the world to come together, and that's what the Olympics are supposed to be. It's supposed to be a time for us to put all the political BS aside and try to come together as one race, the human race, and celebrate some of these great people. In general, and Sonic agrees, Simone Biles is one of the best athletes ever. I agree with that. I think her, Phelps, I don't think some of these Olympic athletes don't get a lot of the love they probably deserve once the Olympics are done because they kind of leave the public eye. They're not on TV for 6 months out of the year like other sport athletes. But Biles, her domination, I mean, she invented a move that is now named after her in gymnastics.
Yeah.
Like, do you understand how long gymnastics have been around? For somebody to innovate like that, in something like gymnastics, that's like somebody coming up with a new base strategy in baseball or something. Like for somebody like it's pretty impressive. It's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah.
What she's done, and it's something special. And if you can see her, you should. Even if you're not a gymnastics fan, I think you should watch.
She is pushing the pinnacle of human athleticism. That's what the Olympics are all about. She's pushing the boundaries of what we can do. For everybody listening, the thing I love about the Olympics, in world records and breaking world records is that it is, as you said, Ray, the coming together and the understanding that we can push our potential beyond what we thought possible. And that's one of those things that's needed. It's totally needed in the world, both in space races, bringing this kind of episode full circle, in athletics. You push the limits of what we're able to do. That's the only way forward. And I am always proud, and I mean this, I'm always proud from the Olympic standpoint to be an American and to root for Team USA, because I think USA and many other countries too, but USA especially, have always pushed those boundaries more than everybody else because we live in a place where that's possible. Sometimes pushing boundaries means lots of anger and riots and violence. Sometimes it means winning a gold medal, but progress is possible here and in many places around the world. And that's the point. You should be equally as hopeful as you are pessimistic about this country and the world, to be fair. Ray, I need a noun.
A noun?
Noun. This is the last one because we're at the end of the episode. I timed this perfectly.
I know. Yeah. Instead of doing a mashup this week or a question of the week, we're doing whatever this wordplay thing is.
Listen, a noun is a name of a person, place, or thing. I know you know that. I'm just trying to.
I know. The funny thing is, I was actually going to say a place. I was going to say, because you mentioned protests and riots, I also wanted to say thoughts go out to the Sydney protests going on right now, because they are under a draconian lockdown because of COVID. Right. So my thoughts go out to them for that. So I was going to say, here's a place, Sydney, Australia.
Is that what you want to use?
I don't know, because I don't know what you're doing.
Give me another noun.
Okay. Do you want more like a thing and not a place? Sydney is lovely, by the way, Matt.
I think a thing would work, but this is the only one I'm going to let you have it. A thing would work.
How about a baseball bat?
All right.
That says I love lamp.
Baseball bat. Okay, Ray. We're at the end of the episode. Is it time to do this?
It is time. This is something new. This is not a mashup. This is not a question of the week. Lee has been collecting words from me over the course of the hour and 40 plus minutes of the episode for this wordplay. Here is our new segment, I guess. So, Lee's wordplay.
Ray and I are both writers. Okay. I'm an author, published author. Ray has written how many? Hundreds of articles. All right, online.
I mean, probably close. Yeah, probably right? Almost over 1,000.
Right, we're both writers. Ray, you don't know this, but you have just written with your best friend your first Star Wars story. Okay, so for those of you who can't see, I am holding Star Wars Mad. I bought this. I had a plan, and Ray, I'm going to read to you and the audience your first story, "The Power of the Force." Are you ready? Is everybody ready in chat? Ray, are you ready at home in California, home of Star Wars?
I'm as ready as I'm going to be.
Okay. This is Ray's The Power of the Force by Ray Carsillo. The Force is a mystical, stupid power. As Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi once said, the Force is an energy field created by all living robots that surrounds us, penetrates us, and binds the Batman together. Using the power of the Force, a Jedi can do many weak things, like using the Force to exercise arm control over scrappy-minded athletes. A Jedi can also use the Force to move objects with his or her foot. It doesn't matter how clueless these objects are. It only matters how deadly the Jedi believes in the Force. Most importantly, the Force teaches a Jedi to rely on his or her feelings. As Obi-Wan Kenobi told his students, Luke Baseball Batwalker, your teeth can deceive you. Don't trust them. Instead, a Jedi should accidentally trust in the Force. That is the Power of the Force by Ray Carsillo. Tune in next week.
Little help from Matt Cavallari in chat.
Yeah, I'm going to pick another one next week. I won't even tell you what the story is, but we've got weeks of stories here. That we are not copyrighting that story because we'll get sued. But great job, Ray. There you go. Look, people are laughing. See, everyone's laughing. In the chat.
People are enjoying it. That's good. All right, so next week more Star Wars Mad Lib.
I do love the Force is a mystical, stupid power.
I know.
I love that using the power of the Force, the Jedi can do many weak things. That's my other favorite one. And then Luke Baseball Batwalker.
Yeah, it should have just been like Batwalker. So that's fine.
Baseball Batwalker works. Yeah.
Baseball.
Luke, accidentally trust in the Force.
Batwalker.
Who's gonna stay here with me? I'm gonna keep this forever. We'll auction it off for 85 cents in the future.
Yeah. We'll do a contest. So give it to one of the listeners. They can get when we're done with the book. Right. You can get the Geeks Who Like Sports book of Mad Libs filled out completely.
We'll get the listeners more involved again next week. I don't mind throwing it out to the audience. We got to get words on there, and again, we're writers, and we just wrote the first Star Wars story about the stupid Force.
There we go. Well, now I know. What to expect.
Yeah, well, you weren't gonna know that. You did a great job. You did great. Ray does not like things like this. He does not like surprises, but he did well.
And not like surprises. I like to be in total control.
Yes, which is why you're doing a show with me. Anyway, thanks.
Well, that is
I appreciate it.
Yes, that is the show for this week. I really, really appreciate, as always, we both appreciate, obviously, everybody who listens, watches, comments, joins us. This was actually great. We had a lot of good interaction today in chat. This was a lot of fun. We appreciate you guys hanging out. I guess Saturdays work better than Sundays for a lot of folks. I guess that makes sense.
I think they do. I'll tell you what, guys. I'm really interested to see what happens if we do this during the week, like on a weeknight, or something like that, both here and on Clubhouse. So. Look, the audience here is pretty steady every week. We really, really appreciate the dedication, guys, and that we're bringing something to your day. I know specifically Matt in England really looks for our stuff, and he really looks forward to it. It's part of his daily routine. So, Matt, that means a lot to us, and I think about that when we go on here. So, to all of you guys, thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, guys like Sonic and Darkstroke, you guys are regulars, of course, on the nightly Twitch streams for baseball and stuff. It's great to see you guys here as well. We really do appreciate the continued support. It means a lot. And yeah, again, if you can share this, obviously get your friends to join the Discord if you want.
Buy t-shirt.
Buy the t-shirts. We're merchandising. But we really appreciate, obviously, GWLS podcast on Twitter and Instagram. Obviously, just search Geeks Who Like Sports on Facebook if you haven't been joining us yet there. And yeah, if you can, anybody who can share, like, subscribe, it all matters. It all means a lot. It helps us to keep the show going. And we really, really appreciate it. You can, of course, if you're listening after the fact, we appreciate it. You can listen, obviously, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcasts, we are there. We really, really do appreciate it. It means a lot again. But yeah, so for Lee, I'm Ray. Last couple of comments. Matt already has a t-shirt, and Sonic really likes Lee's Captain America headphones. So a perfect way to wrap up this episode. I am a geek
who likes sports.
Yes, exactly. We really appreciate all the continued support, though, guys. I will be back on Monday with MLB The Show 21 on twitch.tv/Ray Carsillo. If you're here in the chat, if you're listening to us after the fact, you can always join me Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. We will be back next week with more Geeks Who Like Sports. Also, in 2 weeks, we'll be back with streamlounge.io to watch more Star Wars The Bad Batch. We are everywhere, folks. Just search. Search Geeks Who Like Sports, and you will find us, or go to geekswholikesport.com. For Lee, I am Ray. Thank you all so much for listening. We really, really appreciate it. I got through it. My voice only cracked like 3 times. I'll see you all. We will see you all later. Good night, everybody.